Hello everyone, registering IP phones in CUCM. My name is Shafi. Okay, let's see what chapter objectives we have in this one, and this is very important. Again, this is another practical. It's going to be start, but today, very less practicals we have. Okay, less practical in the sense we will be not getting into the call manager. So to register an IP phone, we require some infrastructure or protocols. What exactly that infrastructure protocols we have, why we require, whether it's an optional or mandatory, and how it works, how you can configure that one. That's what we are going to be discussed. The first, different endpoints can be registered in CUCM, then special functions and services you to be registered on IP phone. Next, IP phone boot up process. It's very, very important earlier, not now, because earlier what happened few years ago, if you go to the interview, out of 10, 9 interview, they are going to be asked this question, IP phone boot up process. Okay. And implementing and hardening IP phone. That's in a practical means how you can be registered on IP phone, how many different methods available to be registered on IP phone, and understanding registering Cisco Jabber. Okay, and now it's very important the Jabber. Why? Because of the work from home, because of this COVID, everyone is logging from the home. We don't have the physical phones. If you are in an office, what we can do this one, we can use the physical phone here. Now you are logging from the remote. Now, if you want to make a calls, any voice call, video call, anything, this one. Now we are using an application, that one. That's the Cisco Jabber we are using. And if you go to the interview, many questions you'll be getting from the Cisco Jabber. Okay, starting from the registration process, its protocol, its authentication, troubleshooting, many things comes in this one. Okay, we are going to be discuss about what is this Cisco Jabber, what different protocols it uses, how you can be get registered. Okay, how many different options available to be registered, and troubleshooting also we'll be discussing in this one. But troubleshooting we are not going to discuss in this chapter. In some other chapter we are going to be discuss the troubleshooting, not fully. Few things we are going to be discuss here, because Jabber, once you register under the call manager, you can get the different services. Example, voicemail service, you can get it. IMP service, you can be get it. Okay, now voicemail Unity connection still we have not started. IMP still we have not started. So once we complete the Unity connection IMP, again I'm going to take one more class on the Jabber. And also we have the another concept, Jabber MRA. Okay, mobile and remote access, where Jabber will be authenticating or logging, registering from the remotely. For that one, again we require a which server. Suppose I'm in home. Okay, in my home there is a Jabber. Now I want to be get registered to my corporate network. So how I can be get registered? Exactly. We require the expressway, because when I'm accessing from the outside of the network, there is no security. This one option, you have the VPN. Through the VPN, you can go. If you don't have a VPN, then there is an alternative to the VPN. Expressway server we have. Expressway C and E we have this one. Okay. So here also you have to be understand. So if the through the expressway, if it is getting registered, that's called MRA. MRA. Okay. MR means there is a different meaning here in Bangalore in hotels. Okay, let's get into the different endpoints can register. Means you have a CUCM. What different types of IP phone can able to register under the call manager? That's what the different endpoints can register in the CUCM here. This one. A variety of endpoints from Cisco and third-party manufacturers can be registered with CUCM. Endpoints include Cisco IP phones, analog gateway, and video devices. You take any phone, not only from Cisco, from third-party phones also you can take it and you can able to be registered. Okay, again the phone we have different types of phone, physical only. Okay, Cisco manufactured phones we can be registered. Third-party IP phones we can be registered. Okay, and this IP phone we use only for the voice call. Now video phones are there, or conference devices you have this one. Okay, for an example, you can see here this one. These are two types of phones we have this one, and both is manufactured by Cisco here. One is the 79 series, that is the 796 series. Another one is the DX. This is the DX, no, 88 series 4. No, DX 650, this one. Okay, see, this is the old phone. There is no camera, but here there is a camera. Can you see this one here? The camera is there. Means with this, we can make only the voice call. But with this, yes, voice call you can make it out. Also, you have a ability to make the video call here, this one. Got it? Other end also camera is required. So other end, if there is no camera, then it's not possible to make the video call. Okay. So that's what video endpoint. Different video endpoints also we can be registered. Along with this, also you can be registered the soft phones. Soft phone means softwares that you can able to be installed in your laptop, desktop. Okay. Then in your mobile, you can be installed, tab, you can be installed that one. Okay. That's the Jabber, we have the concept, this one. That is what different endpoints we can be registered. So here you can see this is your CUCM cluster. Can you see this one? Totally 5 servers are there in my cluster. Maybe consider this is the publisher and these 4 are the subscriber. See, Cisco Unified IP phones and Cisco skinny only phones. I'll come back. What is the skinny only phones? Then after, hold on. Then after here, analog phones we can be registered. What is the analog phone? You have seen the landline phones, right? In a home. That's called analog phones. This is the IP phones. Why it's called an IP phone? Because this phone also we are going to assign the IP address. But in the landline, in the home or office, whatever the phones we use, there is no IP address to that phone. For that type of phone, we call analog phone. So even you can register that analog phone also to your call manager. Okay, this one. Next, third-party video devices, not the Cisco, which is manufactured by any other vendor. For example, Polycom devices you have. Polycom is the another organization. They are going to manufacture IP phones, video endpoints and everything. Okay, if you have that one, that phones also can be registered. Third-party SIP phones. Okay. Again, third-party SIP hardware or the software, soft phones, anything you can be registered. And video endpoints. There are different video endpoints we have within the Cisco that also you can able to be registered. So these are the different types of phones. You take Cisco, non-Cisco, you take physical phone or soft phone, any type of the phone we can able to be registered under the call manager. Got it? Okay. Next, the special function and services used to register an IP phone. To register an IP phone, we require some infrastructure. In that infrastructure, maybe protocols we are using or hardware we are using. Okay, it's mandatory we require. So without that, few are optional. Okay, but few are the mandatory. We have this one. Without that infrastructure, it's not possible to be registered. Let's have what is that exact infrastructure or the protocols we require to be registered on IP phones. Okay, before we start registering the IP phone, we had to understand about the infrastructure or the protocols. Okay, a variety of standard-based and proprietary protocols and services support IP phone in CUCM in no particular order. There is no order which one comes first, second, third, and okay. They include the following. The first one is NTP server we require. Network time protocol here, this one. Again, NTP, it's not mandatory. Without NTP, we can be registered on an IP phone, but still NTP is mandatory. There are few things which is dependent on that one. So that's the reason NTP is not mandatory to get registered, but after registering to work on that one, okay, NTP is mandatory. How exactly that will be discussed. Okay. Next, we have the DHCP server, Dynamic Host Configuration Protocol. Next, we have DNS, Domain Name System. Next, we have the voice VLAN. Next, we have the PoE, Power over Ethernet. Next, we have the TFTP, Trivial File Transfer Protocol. So all these protocols, these are the protocol. NTP is the protocol, DHCP is the protocol, DNS is the protocol, and voice VLAN is the protocol, PoE and TFTP is the protocol. We required all this protocol or infrastructure. Somewhere it has to be configured. Now NTP is a protocol. It has to be configured in some device. Then it will become NTP server. The DHCP, it has to be configured in server. Then it will become the DHCP server. That's how. So these are the different infrastructure we require to be registered on IP phone. There are many questions you'll be getting from here also. So if you go to the interview, they'll ask about IP phone boot up process also, or IP phone is not registering, how you will be troubleshoot. Okay. So if you understand the boot up process, okay, then easily you can troubleshoot also. Right? From the beginning, I'm telling that here in this course, collaboration course, concept is very important. Okay, what we have? Only the concept you have this one. Understand the concept, easily you can crack the interview. Understand the concept, easily you can troubleshoot. Even for troubleshooting also, the concept is very important. Okay, so that's how we have a different functions or services. Let's begin with an NTP. What is this NTP? How NTP works? Why we require the NTP? How you can configure the NTP? Okay. NTP stand for Network Time Protocol. Okay. NTP is a networking protocol for clock synchronization between the devices. We use for what? Clock synchronization. Example. In networking, okay, you are communicating between two different devices. When you are communicating, now it's an IP-based communication we have, because any device you take that one, when you are trying to communicate, it's an IP-based communication you have. Whenever if I'm communicating from one machine to another machine, it's IP-based communication. The machine is going to generate some packets, right? Yes or no? Depend on how much data you have, how much information you have, many packets it generates. When it is generating the packet, what happen? Every machine, it gives the timestamp. Timestamp. What exactly this timestamp is? It gives exactly date, time, that when this packet is generated here. For an example, now packet is generated at 7:0141. Example, PM. To read this packet to the destination, depend on the connection, depend on what type of communication. What happened? It has to be reached to the destination within a fraction of second. Example, I'm taking 7:02:03. Within this time, it has to be reached the destination. Example, I'm taking. Okay. If it is not reaching within this time, then this packet become invalid. This packet become invalid here in this one. Okay. So this is what it has to be at the timestamp. But when it is adding the timestamp here, when you are connecting or communicating from source to the destination, in the both source and destination, the time should be the same, right? Suppose this system time is different, this system time is different, then is it possible to communicate? It's not possible to be communicate. How it's possible? It's not possible to communicate. If the time is different, time zone is different, then it's not possible to be communicate here. Now, there is one server in US, or take it from this machine, you're trying to access Google. You're typing www.google.com. You're trying to connect to the Google web server, right? Now that data center, it's in US. The time zone of US is different. The time zone of India is different. Then how you can communicate? Two different times. But as per the packet network, okay, the time has to be matched. If the time is not matching, then it's not possible to communicate this one. But here we have a two different time zones. Still, we can able to be communicate here, because of NTP we can able to communicate, because my traffic will flow via ISP. Now ISP, they are responsible to manage the NTP servers. They are going to be synchronized. Got it? What is the NTP? NTP we use for the synchronizing, time synchronization between the devices in networking, irrespective, any device. Not only for an IP phone we are talking, in general, what happened in the public network, every provider, they maintain the NTP server for the synchronization. If that NTP is not working, synchronization, there is no synchronization, then it's not possible to communicate. What you can do, you take it to your desktop, okay, or laptop only, you take it this one. Now you set the wrong date and time in your laptop. You set, okay, wrong date and time in that one. Then after you have an internet connection, okay, then you try to access the Google. It's not possible to access. It's not possible to access. Why? Because yeah, it will be pop up. Why? Because it's not synchronizing. But traffic goes to my provider. To go to the traffic, my provider, NTP looks from which zone, what is the current time here in India. It will be look, but I'm getting with a different date and time. Then it's not possible. Why? Because when you are connecting to the any server, it will open the session only for few seconds. Within that session, the communication has to be done. Okay, after that it will be closed. For example, you are giving 2 days time. 2 days before time you are giving. Is it possible to open the today for few seconds? It's not possible, that one. So that's how it's not possible to connect if the date and time is wrong. Clear? Now, why we require NTP here in the collaboration? Yeah, phones is there. Then why we require? There are many reasons here. This one. One, it has to display correct date and time on your phone, right? To display correct date and time. One thing. Again, the date and time we require for the call logs. Call logs means what? Call history, that one. When I have received the call, when I have dialed, when I have got the missed call. You want to know exact date and time, right? If there is no date and time, is it possible to understand the call history? Next, to get the voicemail. For an example, someone is dialing to your phone, a voicemail we have configured, and you are not answering. Now getting an option to leave the voice message. Now the source party leaving the voice message. Now you want to understand when this voice message is received. How you can understand? Based on the date and time, right? Okay, for that also we require. Then to install the CUCM. You remember we have given the NTP server while installing the CUCM. Without NTP, it's not possible to register the CUCM. NTP is mandatory. Got it? And also very important, why we require the correct date and time? For troubleshooting. You got some issue. Now you want to pull the logs. You want to analyze how you are pulling the logs. Based on the date and time you are pulling the logs. When the issue was arise, based on that time you are going to pull the log, that one. So that's the reason. Suppose if there is a wrong date and time, then you are pulling the logs on wrong date and time, then there is no issue within that logs. Got it? So that's the reason. These are the different reasons why we require the NTP server. Got it? NTP we use to synchronize the clock, and here also in IP infrastructure, voice infrastructure, for these are the different reasons why required. And NTP, it's a UDP protocol. So any protocol you take, either it comes under TCP or UDP, right? And it is a UDP protocol and port number is 123. Every protocol having the port number, and the port number of NTP is 123, 123. It is divided into stratum, which define the distance from the reference clock. What exactly is stratum? See, it is divided into stratum, which define the distance from the reference clock. Generally, what happened here? This is my router. Okay, this is my router. And this is the provider, service provider, public network, ISP example. So I just connected to ISP. Somewhere here in the ISP, we have NTP server. Somewhere in the public network, there is an NTP server here. Now, I want to synchronize, means this router wants to be synchronized to this NTP server. Between this NTP server and gateway, whatever the distance you have, for that distance we call stratum. Okay, see, it is divided into stratum, which means stratum defines the distance from the reference clock. Which device you are trying to be synchronized. Actually, we have industry standard NTP server, public NTP servers we have. What you can do, you can be register all your devices to that NTP server, so that here what date and time we have, we get the date and time to this router here. So this is called stratum here. So you want to be go, you can be go like this. Now what happened? We have the CUCMs, right? We have what? CUCM, we have this one. Now, how we get the NTP information to the CUCM? Okay, gateway we have, which is connected to ISP, it's getting that one. Now, how CUCM gets? CUCM will get NTP information from the gateway. Okay. Now, how much distance we have from the CUCM to the NTP server? Or how many hops we have to reach CUCM to NTP? We have 2 hops. Hop means next hop. CUCM to gateway is 1. Gateway to NTP is 1, right? 2 hop. Now it's called 2 stratum. This one. How many stratum we have? 2 stratum we have this one. Okay. This is how we get NTP information to the CUCM. Now Cisco recommends it should not be get increase more than 3 stratum for the CUCM. Whenever you configure the NTP server, it should be less than 3 stratum. If it is a 4, 5, 6, it will not work. NTP will not work properly. Cisco recommends always to go with the less than stratum 3. Means if the CUCM wants to be synchronized with the NTP, it should be less than 3 stratum. So that's the reason what we do here. Okay. We are going to configure NTP on the router itself. Now from the router to CUCM, how many stratum? 1 we have. Okay. That's how the concept of NTP and stratum. Clear? Getting the what is this stratum? Yes, router. See, router will act as a gateway. Okay. Now it's like I don't know who is the captain of Indian team now. Who? Okay, let it Dhoni. Okay, example. Dhoni, he's the captain or what? Captain also and player also, right? Okay. Suppose if the router is a device actually. That's the name, generic name for that device, and that will be act as a gateway. Why it's called a gateway? Which is connecting to 2 different networks. See, this is the router. This is my internal network, right? For internal network, it's a private network. And internet, when it is connecting, it's a public network. This is the device which is connecting to the both the network. One end it's connecting to public network, one end it's connecting to the private network. Any traffic wants to be flow from this gateway, it has to be go. From this gateway, it has to be come. Now it will act as a gateway. You know the gateway. Generally for your home also there will be a main door, gate, something. Through that you will be going outside. Through that you will be coming inside. So that's the reason we call it that as a gateway. Clear? Okay. So that's the stratum we have concept. In a typical NTP implementation, corporate router synchronizes its clock with the internet time server, which I have already explained. Generally what happens, every organization, whatever the gateway we have, that gateway is going to synchronize with the NTP server external in the public network. Okay. Other devices in the corporate network, they sync to the router. Means my CUCM is synchronizing to gateway. Gateway is synchronizing to public NTP server, this one. That means always the gateway will be getting connect with the NTP server. Internally, whatever the servers you have, not only CUCM, suppose any other server also required, then all that devices will be get synchronized to gateway. Clear? That's how we can configure. And another thing, this NTP we can be configure on Windows server. Graphical also we can configure. Command line also we can be configure. But here, Cisco recommends to go with the command line. Earlier, we were using Windows NTP server also. In the Windows server also, we can able to be configure NTP and we can able to configure. But now Cisco recommends Linux base means command line NTP server. Now router, we have the command only, command line operating system on that one. Router, it's a completely commands, right? So that's what Cisco recommend. Always any infrastructure in a Cisco, whatever the Cisco recommends, you have to follow only that thing. If you are not following that, tomorrow if something is not working, first they will check it out that the recommended setup you have, recommended software, hardware, setup, configuration is there. First they'll be look. If there is no recommended configuration or setup, first they'll ask you to be configure accordingly that one. Then only they are going to start troubleshooting. Yeah, PSTN you can use. Somehow that router internet is required, that one. Not PSTN, another connection is required. So one router you can connect to internet also, this one also. Or you can configure NTP locally on the router itself. You don't synchronize there. You can configure. Or some other, you are not going to use only one single router. In a production, you are not going to use one single router. In a production, what happened? For data, they use separate devices. For voice, they use separate devices. Anyhow, for the data, we are using the core switches or the layer 3 switches or the router we use, right? There we configure. Even if you have a PSTN, it's a very good question. Suppose the PSTN we have means dedicatedly we connect that router to the PSTN. We are not going to connect to the internet that one. In that case, how we get it? Yes, no problem that one. Because also we have the internet to that office. Internet is required for every office, this one. Internet, how we are getting? Through router, another router we are using for the internet. We are not going to use the same router. Generally, for every any infrastructure, they will not depend on the single device. Suppose if that device goes down, voice also goes down and network also, data also it goes down, right? So that's the reason for data, they keep it separate infrastructure, voice, they keep it separate infrastructure. Okay. So now another router we have, you can synchronize that. Even this router can be synchronized there if it is required. Or generally CUCM can go directly and synchronize with that router. We are going to the another router only for the NTP purpose. Cisco highly recommends configuration the publisher to point a stratum 1, 2, or 3. Maximum stratum is 3 here. This one. If you have configured multi-P NTP, then it goes. You remember on the installation of the CUCM, how many NTPs we can be configured maximum? 5. If you have provided, then it goes. If you are not provided, then how it goes? So you have to give two different things. First, it synchronizes the primary one. Primary is not available, then it goes to the another one, secondary one. Got it? So Cisco also recommend to configure Linux-based NTP. Got it? What is NTP? Why we required? How it works? What is stratum? What type of NTP we require? Okay. Then where generally we configure NTP and everything. Any doubts? Any questions? Now, why we require this NTP into the collaboration IPT infrastructure? Okay. There are many good reasons to use NTP on Cisco Unified Infra. The one, to install CUCM, we require NTP. Without NTP, it's not possible to install. Next, for call detail record and call management record. That's like a call history, call logs. Okay. Next, to display correct date and time on the phone. On the phone, if you go to the display, LCD is display on the phone, it has to display the correct date and time. Next, to pull the logs based on the time for the troubleshooting purpose. Okay. Next, voicemail stamp. To get the voicemail also, we require the correct date and time. So these are the different reasons why we use the NTP here on Cisco Unified Infrastructure, this one. Okay. Now let's configure NTP. Suppose here in the lab also we require NTP, right? Why? Because here also it has to display correct date and time, and also to install the CUCM, we require this one. Now, whatever the local gateway I'm having, right? In the same gateway, I'm going to configure that router itself as an NTP server. As per the Cisco recommend, stratum also I'll be give. As per the Cisco recommend, Linux based we require. And the router itself, we can able to be configure the NTP server, this one. Okay. So let's let me try to connect to my router. So I'm going to ping to the router, and the router IP address is 142.164.1. It's pinging. Can you see? It's reaching successfully. Let me access the router. Any router, switch, network device, if you want to be accessed, you require terminal programs. So which is the program we are going to use? Putty, not potty. Okay. I think we don't have. Here we go. HQ router. That's a headquarter router we have. Okay. So let me get in. This is my router. What you had to do here first. Now you can see, right? Okay. First, you had to set the proper date and time in your router locally. Already we have, I think, show clock. If you type, it displays the current date and time. So it's giving the, yeah, this is good actually, Jan 1923, but date is 156, means afternoon 156, 2 o'clock, almost 2 o'clock it's giving. Now I want to change the time. For this, type set clock. What do you want to do clock? I want to set clock set. How you want to set? In this format you have to set hours, minute, second. So what is the time now? 7:36. Okay. Then after date also we have to say, give the question mark. First you have to give the day. Then you have to give month. Then you have to give year.
That will be 19.
Okay. Now what is the date today? 19 Jan 20. This is how you can set the date and time. Now you can type show clock. So 1931 Jan 1923. I am going to save this configuration first, because correct date you have to be configured first, because this is the router is going to be act as an NTP server. So now here what happened, generally how the connectivity we have, I'll explain in the lab scenario. Example, I'm having a CUCM. This is my CUCM. Then I have a switch. The CUCM is connected to this switch. Then I have a router. Router also connected to the switch here, this one. Okay. And this is from the switch to router we have connected on gigabit Ethernet interface. And its IP address is 142.100.64.1. CUCM IP address is 142.100.64.51. This is how we have. Now, this IP address or the interface you can give. See how the CUCM can reach to this router. How? It will be traffic coming to the switch. From the switch, via this interface it goes, right? Either this IP address or this interface. So we had to define this IP address and interface for the NTP. NTP. When you are configuring the NTP, how they can get into this router? Either through interface or through IP address. That we have to be defined here in this one. Okay. So now I'll go to the NTP master, which is defined stratum. Okay. What stratum you want to be give here? So in my case, I'll give the 3. Actually, it should be less than 3, but few testing, I'm giving the 3. Later, when we have a separate session, NTP troubleshooting. NTP is not synchronizing. You get the tickets. Okay. when the NTP is not synchronizing, how you are going to be troubleshoot. For that reason, I'm configuring now as a 3 NTP master. Next, NTP source. Source means who is the source to provide this one? Gigabit Ethernet. Even I'm not sure what is the interface that one. Do show IP interface brief. This is the one, Gigabit Ethernet 0/0. Okay. So now I have to be configure NTP source Gigabit Ethernet 0/0 or NTP server. What is the server? Who is the NTP server IP address? 142.100.64.1. This is how you can configure. Not required both the command. Any one command you can use. Even if you give both the command, there is no issue. Suppose if this router is not acting NTP, even this router also required the proper date and time. It has to be synchronized with another router. In that case, you can give NTP server and IP address of that router. It will get synchronized. Got it? That's it. The configuration of NTP. Very simple. Show NTP status. Clock is synchronized at stratum 3. Can you see this one? If it is unsynchronized, still it's not working. Now it's a synchronize. That's it. But NTP synchronization issues you will not get on the gateway. You'll get on the call manager. So you get the tickets also on the call manager. You have to troubleshoot on the call manager. How you can troubleshoot there, what you will check it out, how you can do it. That will look later. Got it? NTP. That's it, the configuration of NTP, and this is how NTP configuration you can do it. This is what? First, clock set, show clock, NTP source, NTP master, NTP IP, show NTP status, show NTP associations. This is how you can verify the commands and you can be doing this one. Clear? Everyone? Any doubts, any questions on this NTP? No. The same command you can use only from router. So CUCM to router, if both are into different network, routing has to be enabled there. It depend you, not only OSP, do it static routing or anything. But suppose if both the network are connected directly to router, then routing is not required. Yeah, but traffic goes to the router it connect that. Not same network, two different networks you have, but it's connected to single router, then not required. You got my point? Got it or not? Okay. This means you have a router here. You have two interfaces. Gigabit Ethernet 0/0 you have. Gigabit Ethernet 0/1 you have. This is connected to different switch. This is connected to different switch. Now CUCM is connected here. Or something is connected here. For example, this is into 10.0.0.0. This is 20.0.0.0 network. From here to here, obviously two different networks. How it will reach? The traffic goes to the router, from here it goes. Not required to enable any routing because already router is connected here. Now router is the part of both the networks. See, one interface it's connected to 10 network, another interface connected to 20 network. Then it will be. Suppose completely a different, then routing has to be enabled. The next one is DHCP, Dynamic Host Configuration Protocol. It assigns the IP address automatically. Now DHCP, again, this is another very important topic. Every organization, they use the DHCP server. Now you take any device, minimum 3-4 addresses has to be assigned. minimum. Or for example, you take any laptop or desktop. I have a computer here. For this, first we required IP address. Next, I required subnet mask. Next, I required gateway address. Next, I required DNS address. Minimum 4 address you have to assign. Yes or no? IP address, subnet mask, gateway address, and DNS address. Minimum 4 address you have to give. Even in your home also, to get the internet, minimum this information is required. Okay. How much time it takes to assign these addresses? 1 minute. Okay. 1 minute it takes, no problem. If I have one computer, two computer, I can do it. I have thousands of computers. Then how much time it takes? Takes a lot of time. One. Another thing, tomorrow you are changing the gateway address. For example, manually have assigned for all the 1000, manually have assigned. After few days, I'm changing the gateway address. Then again, all these 1000 computers I had to go and I had to change the gateway address. Or DNS address you have changed. Again, you have to go all these 1000 computers and you have to change the DNS address. Yes or no? But assigning, managing, it's very difficult, right? If you assign or manage manually, it's very difficult. And also you have to keep track which address, which machine you have assigned. Otherwise, for example, 10.1 is assigned to one computer. Another computer also you are assigning the same IP as 10.1. What happens? It get conflict, not clash. Okay, it get IP conflict. When it is getting conflict, both the devices cannot participate in a network. When both the devices not participating in the network, then there is no communication. Got it? So assigning, maintaining, troubleshooting, it's very difficult if you go with assigning the IP address manually here, this one. That's the reason we use DHCP. Now, if you take IP phone, now IP phone also, it's IP based device. Here also we required IP address, subnet mask, gateway address, DNS address, and another important, we require TFTP address. Along with this, also require TFTP. And if you have a domain name also, you can configure domain name. Example, wipro.com. That's a domain name. These many addresses you have to assign. Again, assigning all these addresses manually. Yes, IP phone, you can assign the IP address manually. You can assign. You can go and you can assign all these addresses manually. Again, it takes a lot of time and it's very difficult for the troubleshooting, tracking, managing, and everything. So that's the reason we are using DHCP server. If you are using a DHCP, all these addresses it provides automatically. Now you have to manage only DHCP server. Okay. Got it? Why we require DHCP here in the Cisco unified infrastructure? Because for the IP phone also, not only the laptop desktop, even for the IP phones, we get an IP address from the DHCP server. And it provides all these addresses automatically. It assigns the IP address management. Management means all that one. Okay, automatically. And this DHCP also, it's a UDP protocol. See, it is a UDP protocol and port number is 67 and 68. For DHCP, we get two port number, 67 for the server, 68 for the client. Port number 67 for server and 68 for the client we have. Okay, DHCP is widely used IP standard that can provide the following information to the IP phone. It provides IP address, subnet mask, default gateway, DNS address, and very important TFTP. TFTP address also it will be provided this one. And it has to be provided the TFTP. If it is not providing the TFTP, 4 will not register. Okay, we'll see why it's a TFTP is a mandatory that one. So this is how it will be registered on IP address. Clear? Any doubts? Any questions? Okay. Although it is possible to statically configure IP phones with all that information, it would be a time consuming and error prone, right? So it takes a lot of time. Maybe some errors will be getting wrongly. We can assign that one, and we have to keep track on that one. So that's the reason. So always it's recommended to be go with a DHCP server. You go to any network in any company, there will be a DHCP server. Okay. Now, how DHCP assigns the IP address to the client? By using DORA process, not Doraemon, DORA process. Okay. DHCP servers an IP address by using DORA process. What is this DORA process? What happened here? This one. Example. I have a DHCP server. Then this is the switch, it's connected. There are multiple devices we have here. Okay, IP phone, whatever you think it here, this one. Example I'm giving. I'm not, this is the example explicitly only for IP phone, it's not. Any device, router, sorry, router also, switch also. Suppose you want, a router wants to get an IP address from the DHCP. Generally, we will not configure to get an IP address from the DHCP for the router and switch. Any device, like any PC, desktop, IP phone, if they want to get an IP address, how it will get. So what happened here, this one, once you turn on this one, boot up process happens, every device, it's going to be check it out, what is my network configuration in the boot up process. Network configuration means what IP address is assigned. So one option we have, we can be configure statically. Statically means manually we can be configure. If you have already assigned the manual IP address, it takes that one. Or another option you have dynamically. Okay. Now it will look, suppose if you have selected get an IP address automatically, that means you don't have an IP address. In this case, it will be send one discover message. In general, discover means what? Searching. Discover, searching here, this one. It send one discover message. And this discover message, it goes as a broadcast. Broadcast means sending to everyone. I don't know. I'm searching for a DHCP server. So now what happened here in this? This message goes here. It reads, it's telling, hey, I'm not a DHCP. I'm not replying anything. It goes here. It goes here also. Same time, this message goes to here also. This is called discover. I'm searching for an IP address. Okay. The moment it receives, it tells, yes, I am the DHCP server. I'm having the ability to provide an IP address. Take it this. What take it this? It's offering. Already the pool, here you have to configure pool or group. Here you have to, before that, you have to configure everything. Okay. As per the pool, whatever the pool, the group you have configured here. Okay. DHCP pool. Pool means not swimming pool. It's a DHCP pool. Okay. Okay. It's a DHCP pool. Okay. Based on that pool, it's going to offer the IP address. Then again, this machine tells it's going to send the request. Then again, it will be sending the acknowledgement. Okay. See what happened. First, it sends the discover message, offer message, request message. Finally, it gives the acknowledgement. Once it gives the acknowledgement, now it will be assigning that IP address for the particular lease period. You know, the leasing, rent, lease. For a particular time period, you will be giving the authority for them to be used at this one. Now, whatever the IP address I am giving, I'll be fixed it for the lease period here. 1 day, 2 day, 8 hours, 3 days, 8 days. This is how I'm going to give the lease period here, this one, based on what type of DHCP you are using. For example, Windows DHCP you are using, for the wired connection, it provides the 8 days. For wireless, it provides only 8 hours. Every 8 hours, keep on, it will be changing the IP address. Even in your home connection, whatever the internet you have this one, you don't have the static IP address from the provider. You have the DHCP. It will be keep on changing that one. Okay, based on this one, huh? Because of based on the lease period, that one. Okay, for example, if it has provided lease period is 2 days, now 2 days it will be fixed this IP address only for you. After 2 days, you may get same or different. You may get same or different, that one. So this is how it provides. Now discover D, offer O, request R, acknowledgement A. Then it become DORA. Discover, offer, request and acknowledgement. Got it? Now this is how it will be providing the IP address. How DHCP provides an IP address? By using DORA process. And this complete DORA process you have to explain in an interview. Okay? Clear? This one, DHCP client, DHCP server. First it send discover message, then it will be offering, then again it will be requesting, and final we get an acknowledgement. After getting the acknowledgement, I can use it of that an IP address and it will be fixing for the particular lease period. This is how it provides the IP address. Okay. Now DHCP, it's up to you that one. There is no mandatory with what type of DHCP you can use. Majority company they use Windows DHCP, means whatever the server they have. Linux server is there, Linux DHCP. If the Windows DHCP they can use. Yes, on router also we can configure DHCP. Switch also we can configure DHCP. This one. Okay, if it is a layer 3 switch. Okay, in my organization, a few location we have configured in switch, layer 3 switch. Few organization we have configured in router. Few location we have configured in Windows. We don't have a standard. Process where to configure DHCP. As per the requirement, how comfortable we are, we just configured the DHCP. Okay. Now I'm going to show you that one, how you can configure the DHCP on router. Yes, again, one more option, you have this one. You want to configure DHCP on CUCM also, you can configure. Directly CUCM you have, right? Publisher. The publisher can also act as a DHCP. Now you can understand, in a totally 20 servers in a cluster, one publisher, 8 subscriber, remaining 11 you have, right? That optional one, you can use it for the DHCP. That is how you can use it. So that's what, on the beginning, if I explain, you will not understand. So you have to keep some patience. Not only you, those who are not understood what is this 11 option, where we can use this is how you can use now. Now one, you take it one optional server, then you want to be install, make it that as a DHCP server, you can use, but that's for the small network. Small, very less IP address is there, you can use. It's the best practice to go with router, switch or Windows server, that one. So now I'm going to show you how we can be configure on router. Where is my this one router? It's gone. Oh my God. Again, go to the putty. Then this is my gateway. Access this gateway. Okay. So here in this one, what happened? We are using some IP addresses, right? What network? My network IP address is what? The completely we are using 142 locally here. 142.100.64.0. This is the network /24 subnet mask we are using here. In the same network, few addresses we have assigned for different devices, right? Yes or no? Yes, sir. So that device, that IP addresses you have to exclude in the DHCP. You have to what? Exclude means whatever the IP address you provide as a exclude. Now DHCP is not going to provide that IP addresses. After the exclude, what other IP addresses are there, it's going to be provided here. Example, okay, 142.100.64.1, that gateway we have assigned. 64.51, CUCM we have assigned 64.78 my PC. Okay, then 64.10 switch IP address, this one. That's how we have different IP addresses. Now what we have to do, we have to exclude all these IP addresses. Maybe 52, 53, you take it subscriber. That's what example I'm giving. So all these IP addresses we have to be exclude here, this one. So first thing, before you configure your DHCP, first you have to exclude the IP addresses. Okay, how you can exclude? Get into this router, and before to that, let's see, do we have any DHCP configuration in this router? Yes, we have the DHCP configuration in this router. What I'm going to do, okay. Okay, let me pause that video and remove this configuration. Again, I'll come back. So I'm going to be exclude IP DHCP exclude address. What address you want to be exclude? 142.100.64.1 to 142.100.64 dot till 80 will exclude. Okay, this is the range I'm giving. 1 to 80 it should not provide. This is our range you can provide, because in this one also come, 51 also comes, 78 can also come, everything it comes. Also, I want to exclude one more range, that from 199 to 254. This one exclude. A single IP address you want to exclude. This is how you can give. Single also you can exclude, range also you can exclude. 1 to 80, 199 to 254, and 100 we have excluded this one. Now it will be providing, what is the first IP address it's going to provide? 81. Okay, it's provide 81, 82, 83, 83, 84. It goes till 198. After that, it will not provide anything. One more thing we have, 100 also it will not provide. After 99, it goes 101. Why? Because 100 also we have excluded here, this one. Okay. So now we have to create IP pool, DHCP pool. This is the DHCP pool, not swimming pool. Okay. And what is the pool name? You can give, you have to give name here. That is what pool name. No, you don't tell any swimming pool name. Okay. I'll just type voice. Okay. This is the pool we have created for what? Voice. Okay. Now, network. Which network? What is the network IP address? 142.100.64.0 space and subnet mask 255.255.255.0. This is the IP address we are publishing on that one. In this 64.0, few we have excluded. Okay, next IP address we have given, subnet mask we have given. Default router. Who is my default router? 142.100.64.1. Okay. Who is DNS server? Suppose if you have any DNS server, example, I'm giving 8.8.8.8. Yeah, even you can make it 88 also, right? We don't have any DNS, only for how we configure, I'm just providing. Then domain name, which company you are working? Okay, don't know .com. Domain name. Then very important, option 150. Here, yes, option 150 IP 142.100.64.51. Option 150 indicates who is your TFTP server. You remember, for IP phone, TFTP IP address also is required. That has to be provided under the DHCP server. Okay. So this is how you can be configure your all the addresses. Now to verify this configuration type, show running pipeline section DHCP. So we have excluded these addresses, voice pool we have created, network, gateway, DNS, domain, and TFTP address we have configured. This is how you can be configured. Okay. Now, if the DHCP is providing the IP address, which machine, which device it has provided to verify, show IP DHCP bindings. If you type this one, here it display if it has provided any IP address to any other device. What IP address it has provided, which device, MAC address of that device, and what is the lease period, lease expiration. Can you see this one? It's going to be expired, lease expiration. It's display here there. As if now we have not connected and not up any device, so it's not providing anything in that one. Clear? That's how you can be configure your DHCP. I'm saving this configuration. After every configuration, you have to save it, or else it will not get saved. Clear? That's the DHCP. See, configure terminal, excluding example. Then after pool, network, default router, option 150, DNS. This is how you can be provide. Show IP DHCP binding. That's the verification command. Okay. This is how you can be configure your DHCP on the router. Got it? Everyone, any doubts, any questions? Shall we continue DNS or we'll wind up and continue tomorrow? IP phone will not take anything. Nothing. I'm only dummy. It will not take. Yes, system, laptop or desktop it takes. His question is, for an example, you have in a machine. This is what I want questions. Keep on asking. So what happened? One option you have statically, you can assign. Second one, manually you can assign. Now this machine you have selected second option to get an IP address manually. Now to get an IP address from where it has to be get? From the DHCP it has to be get. Some reason either consider DHCP server is not there, or DHCP server is not working, or whatever the pool we have created, it's full. It has given all the IP. I don't have any free IP address to provide. There is no ticket. It's house full. In that case, or I'm unable to connect or communicate to DHCP. In that case, who is going to provide the IP address? Manually you have selected. Finally, it takes APIPA range, automatic private IP address. System, it takes automatic some range, automatically generate, it takes that one. With that, it's not possible to communicate that one. That is what the APIPA. When it takes the APIPA, if you have selected to get an IP address dynamically, but we are unable to get an IP address from the DHCP due to some reason. Maybe DHCP is not there, DHCP is not working, no connection, there is no enough free IP addresses, maybe any reason for that one. In that case, automatically myself is going to be take one IP address that is from the APIPA range. Phones will not take APIPA anything. Only that's on laptop, desktop it will take. Generally, phones will not take. Clear? This APIPA we have discussed in IP address. What is the time? Yes, you can take it on Windows. Suppose Windows DHCP server you are configuring, you can go with redundancy for that one. Okay. DHCP provided one IP address. Okay. It no, it automatic process happens. It's not like that. For an example, lease period example 100 you take it, something number 100 you take it, this one. After 75% means after the 75 it start processing for that one. It will be reapplying for that one. It's not. No, it's not. It will be sending a message and it will get it, that actually nothing happens on that one. No issues with that. Okay, so then we'll wind up and we'll continue tomorrow, because the single day if I explain many things, maybe you get bounce. Uh-huh. So only two things we have discussed, right? One is the NTP and second one is the DHCP, this one. So tomorrow we'll go and discuss a few other things. Next we have the DNS, then after voice VLAN, PoE, TFTP, all four we can complete tomorrow, that one. So after that, the practical will start. So we'll see that. Any doubts, any questions online?